This is not a highlight video. What's going on, everyone? Gill here. Figure you want to hear my thoughts on the Rafael Nadal Alex De Minaur match from last night, very early on in the morning, so early this morning in the US. And I figure you don't want to wait until Monday either. So here I am. Let's talk about this match. It was an easy one for Nadal, not in the sense that Alex De Minaur played bad, not in the sense that Alex De Minaur was depleted from having a 5-set match in the last round. I don't think either of those facts are true. I think De Minaur competed as hard as he could, as he always does, and Rafa acknowledges him for that and respects him for that. We all should as well. He competed as hard as he could, and I thought he played pretty close to his normal level. The problem was Rafa has also, and he did this from the onset, less so against Duckworth in the first round, but absolutely against Ebden, and absolutely in this match against De Minaur, Rafa has played his best tennis. He's played great, and he is fully healthy, despite pulling out of the warm-up tournament, Brisbane, 2 weeks before the Aussie Open with a thigh injury, despite having off-season ankle injury, despite having the prevailing knee problem that pulled him out of the U.S. Open and then kept him out of the entire fall season. Despite all of that, Rafael Nadal looks 100% healthy, moving well, and playing great, and serving better, as I talked about in my last video, which was a technical breakdown of Rafael Nadal's serve. So please check that out, his new serve, his new improved serve. Please check that out if you haven't. So that's the number one thing at play. The number one thing at play is that Rafa's playing his best, and if Rafa is playing his best, he's going to beat a player at the level of Alex De Minaur. I also think there's a few other things going on here. I think it's worth talking about the matchup. I do believe that at this point that it's pretty clear that Nadal poses some major matchup issues for Alex De Minaur. Some issues that I kind of ignored. And again, I was trying to communicate what I thought was Rafa's vulnerability in the early rounds in this tournament that turned out to be just wrong. Basically, though, it does appear now, after the Wimbledon match where Nadal killed De Minaur, and I kind of discounted it, you know, first big match. That was the first Grand Slam match in a major moment that Alex De Minaur had ever even participated in. So I kind of threw that out the window. This looked so similar to that last match at Wimbledon that I think that there are some tangible matchup issues for De Minaur. Let's get into them a little bit. One, the way De Minaur remains unattackable on his backhand. There's three things at play here. The first thing is that De Minaur does not normally give you a lot of pace to operate when he hits his backhand. He especially doesn't give you a lot of heaviness. Heaviness is a combination of pace and topspin and the way the ball kicks off the court. That's why more topspin equals more heaviness, you say. And depth, by the way, is also involved in heaviness. De Minaur has good depth on his backhand, I'm talking about. Not a lot of pace, not a lot of topspin, not a heavy stroke. He relies on his depth, his lack of pace, and his speed to remain unattackable when he trades the backhand cross-court. But when he plays Nadal, Rafa is too strong, where the lack of pace, not an issue for Rafa with his racket speed, incredible racket speed, and most of the Spanish players, they train racket speed very, very hard. It's one of the principles of Spanish coaching. Rafa has amazing racket speed, amazing strength. He can generate his own pace. So the pace isn't a problem. The depth isn't really, I mean, you know, the depth is always important, but that alone is not a problem. And De Minaur's speed is not as much of a problem because Rafa hits his forehand so big. It's such a giant weapon. Ultimately, De Minaur can't trade his backhand cross court without getting attacked. That's a huge problem. Now, if you look at most of the players on tour, they're mostly righties. They mostly hit two-handed backhands. Players can't generate that kind of pace. The average righty two-handed backhand, when De Minaur gives you not a lot of pace, very deep, and he has that speed, normally it's very hard to attack him. But when you're talking about Rafa's forehand versus the average righty backhand, it's a completely different animal. So that was a big problem for De Minaur, is he just couldn't he was getting attacked off his backhand, where normally he's fine because he just bunts it deep. He's so fast, normally it's fine. He can defend. The other thing is, once Rafa gets a stranglehold on the point, he's really good at never letting go. He's like a boa constrictor that way. So De Minaur this every player with great defense, what makes them so hard is you have to win the point 4 times. Nadal's forehand is just so on point right now. His backhand pretty good as well, where he can win the point 4 times. It's no problem. The speed just, it's not going to bother him that much. I didn't ever really think the speed would. I did expect De Minaur to, first of all, yeah, I did expect De Minaur to dictate a little bit more. But you could see the strength difference, and you could see how Nadal's forehand was really just dominating the match. From his forehand corner, I mean, he was really just playing with Alex, and a big part of that was because he just couldn't remain unattackable off his backhand. When it comes to his forehand, you had a different issue. He's a little bit weak over the shoulders. That's one thing. And Nadal's ball bounces up really high, so I thought that De Minaur had trouble over his shoulder. The other thing, and I wonder if anyone disagrees with this, but to me, and this is almost something that you need to be on the court to experience, it's a little bit harder to take a loopy ball and hit it flat. It's a little bit easier to take a flat ball and hit it flat. It's a little bit easier to take a slice and slice it. It's a little bit easier to take a loopy ball and hit it back loopy. I don't quite know what the specific technical dynamics and physics behind that is, but I do think it's the case. De Minaur's forehand is quite flat. It is. And some people get mad when they hear, like I remember I said that RBA, Bautista Agut, played flat. When I say he played flat, that plays flat, doesn't mean there's no topspin on it. It means there's way less topspin on the ball than most of the tour. And I think that's true for De Minaur. And when Nadal was hitting, loopy and he gets so much RPM on the ball to De Minaur's flat forehand, something about that just seemed to really bother Alex. And he wasn't hitting his forehand with any kind of crispness. And I think it wasn't because De Minaur was off. I think it was because Rafa's ball is so loopy. It gets over the shoulder. It's oftentimes either you're taking it on the rise, or anyway, the point is, he looked kind of uncomfortable on his forehand wing with Rafa's heavy topspin. So I think those are the major factors at play. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything. I'm not going to dig any deeper than that. Rafa has Berdych next. He shouldn't have a problem with Tomas Berdych. I don't know if Berdych has ever beaten him. I don't know. But I know it's a lopsided head-to-head, and that's because Berdych can't handle the sharpness of Nadal's angles. Berdych just doesn't have the mobility to deal with Nadal's sharp angles, and that has always been just a huge problem when these two play. And Rafa normally hits it behind him a lot, which Berdych hates. Nadal normally really has his number. Berdych, though, playing really well. Good to see that. And good to see Nadal playing well because, to me, a Federer-Nadal semifinal looks pretty likely. Kevin Anderson went out in Nadal's quarter. So the draw has opened up. Nadal's healthy, playing great. It's going to be interesting. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.